What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for tuning into Statistically Speaking, a UteNation podcast. Today I'm joined by Dustin and Matt. We're missing our good friend Joe, who can no longer say that he doesn't appreciate my compliments about his handsome aesthetic because he's not here to defend himself. We do have some notes from Joe, though, that we'll be showing as we discuss today's topic, which is the upcoming game between the Utah Utes and the ASU Sun Devils at Rice-Eccles Stadium at 8:15 p.m. So late kickoff for the Utes this weekend. Boys, what are your thoughts on this game going into it? I'm probably more confident than I should be, but I'd be interested to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about ASU. Meaningless win over Northern Arizona. Then they lose to Mississippi State because Leavitt plays terribly. He's 10 of 22 for 82 yards with a touchdown and 2 picks. It's a bad game for him.
A rough game for him. Yeah.
Yeah, just a bad game for him. But he hasn't had another game like that. He plays really well against Baylor, 22 of 32 for 221 and a touchdown. Plays pretty well against TCU last week. I mean, his completion percentage is down a little bit, but throws for almost 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. And they've been running their ball really well. I mean, 207 yards against TCU and 180 or so yards against Baylor. So
everyone said that that's where they were going to struggle too. With Cam Scatterbo leaving, they were like, "Oh, ASU's run game is gone," and it hasn't been who I thought it was going to be Kanye Udo who came in and changed things for them, but it hasn't been, as far as I'm aware.
Rayleigh Brown,
yeah, it's been Brown. So definitely surprising. So sorry, Dustin, to interrupt you there. I just wanted to point that out.
No, you're fine. And I mean, not just Brown. It is also what we saw out of Leavitt last year, right? It's 55 for 275 on the ground with 5 touchdowns. He's their leading touchdown scorer on the ground. He has 5 rushing touchdowns this year. Brown's got 2, and Udo's got 1. He is the one running the ball into the end zone. And he's also thrown for 8. So, I mean, he's been responsible for 13 of their touchdowns through the air and on the ground. He's playing pretty well, better than he played last year. But he has the ability to absolutely struggle against a tough defense.
Yeah, I like what happened with Leavitt last season against Utah. I think Utah was able to play him really well. Is he the same quarterback as he was last year? It's hard to say. But last year they held him to 11 of 18 for 154 yards, a touchdown and a pick, and only 22 yards rushing. So they really contained Leavitt.
There's just no
Rayleigh
prepping.
Brown makes me a little nervous. What'd you say?
There's just no prepping for Scatterbo. It seemed like for any team last year. So
no, and I think that helps a lot because when you can put your focus on Leavitt, you still obviously need to pay attention to Udo and Rayleigh Brown. Rayleigh Brown already has over 500 yards rushing, so he's accomplishing a lot of what Scatterbo did, but he's not Scatterbo. And there's a couple things that I like and a couple things that make me nervous about Arizona State. The thing that makes me nervous is that this is a very similar team to last year. They brought back so many starters, especially Jordan Tyson, and Utah tends to struggle with top-tier receivers in conference play. And Jordan Tyson's already having a huge season, 483 yards, 7 touchdowns already. What I like is that Arizona State, for some reason, and this might be due to the loss of Cam Scatterbo, but they are number 127 in the nation in third down conversion. So very different from Utah in that aspect. They only convert on 31% of their tries. Utah is still number 2 in the nation at 61% conversion rate, and they're struggling in the red zone. They've only converted half of their red zone opportunities into touchdowns, 11 for 22 touchdowns and 8 field goals, and then they came up empty 3 times. So they're struggling where it counts the most, and that happens to be where Utah is their strongest. They're very good at red zone defense, at least at stopping touchdowns, and then very good in red zone defense. And so with those 2 things, even if Arizona gets their yards to Tyson, to Rayleigh Brown, even if Arizona State does that, they still may not be able to punch the ball into the end zone, which ultimately could be why Utah wins this game.
I said about West Virginia 2 weeks ago, a similar thing that I'm going to say about Arizona State is that Arizona State has a lot of similarities with Utah, right? They are pretty close about running the ball. Arizona State has gone for about 1,100 yards. Utah's run the ball for about 1,200 yards. They both like to pass short. Arizona State's thrown for about 1,050 yards, about 6.5 yards per attempt. Utah's thrown for about 1,150 yards, for about 7 yards an attempt. So both teams are pretty similar on offense. Right now, statistically, Arizona State is one of the best run defenses in the country and one of the worst pass defenses in the country. And Utah is one of the best pass defenses in the country, at 18th nationally, but kind of right in the middle of run defense. Right now, they're averaging pretty close to 60th in run defense. Now, a big part of that is because they let West Virginia have as many yards on the ground as they wanted in the third and fourth quarter, because Utah was up 35-0. But I think Utah's run defense is better than the stats say it is. But right now, statistically, Arizona State has the better run defense and the much worse pass defense. They're 96th nationally. They've given up a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns through the air.
I like that you said that they're very similar teams. I couldn't believe how similar Sam Leavitt and Devon Dampier's stats are. They both have run the ball the exact same number of times, 55 carries, and Dampier has 258 yards and Leavitt has 281 yards rushing. So nearly identical statistics rushing, and then passing very similar too. 1,039 yards, 8 touchdowns, 3 picks for Leavitt, and 1,027 yards, 11 touchdowns, 3 picks for Dampier. So the two schools have what appears to be almost the same types of quarterbacks.
I was literally about to say, I don't know if statistically speaking, this is real, but to me, when I look at Utah and ASU, I see a mobile quarterback who has the ability to throw the ball if needs be, and one who can get a lot of yards on the ground. But in the backfield as well, you also have two on their roster, two solid running backs with that quarterback. I think the big difference between Utah and ASU offensively is the O-line. That would be my submission of the big difference between them. And so I actually really was going to ask. I was going to say it's striking how similar they are, and then you guys brought it up just naturally. So that's great.
Now the raw stats are very similar, and it's too bad Joe's not here, because Joe would point out that the advanced metrics are not that similar. Utah is 5th in the Big 12 in offensive efficiency. Arizona State is 10th. So they're not that close on offense, and on defense, Utah is 3rd and Arizona State is 4th. So pretty close on defense, but not that close on offense, even though the offense, when we look at the raw stats, looks very similar, and the defense looks kind of wildly good at different things. The advanced metrics say the exact opposite, that Utah is way better on offense than Arizona State is, and both teams are pretty similar defensively.
Awesome.
Yeah,
well, hey,
the advanced metrics are very in favor of Utah. Another one I like is SP Plus, and Utah's 17 in that, and Arizona State's 39. So advanced metrics, when we're statistically speaking, they don't like Arizona State quite as much, and I think that's why Utah, opened up as a 5.5 point favorite, which also matches up pretty closely to the discrepancy that the Sagarin rankings have, which also take in a lot of these types of stats.
Didn't the odds go? They started lower, still in Utah's favor, but then they went up to 5.
The online
time of the game.
Yeah, the online open was 1.5.
Oh wow!
But the actual casino opens were at 4.5, and then have moved up to 5.5 in most places. You actually can get it still if you wanted to bet Utah. You could get it 3.5 in a couple of spots. But
was the change? I mean, is it possible that it was after the announcement of the time of the game? Is that what makes it at all?
You'll see this sometimes in betting. I know we're not a betting podcast, but you'll see this sometimes in betting. I lived in Vegas for almost 15 years. Sometimes the online book just does a really bad job. There are some online books that put lines up immediately as soon as they can. They're offshore places, and they're the first line, so they are considered the open. But when the actual Vegas casinos all open first thing Sunday to start taking bets on college football games, those lines are the ones we really sort of consider the open. So if you would bet immediately online, you could have bet Utah as only a 1.5 point favorite. You never could have found that in a Vegas casino. The best you would have found in a Vegas casino was probably 4.5 on open. And even right now, you can't find 4.5 or 3.5 in a Vegas casino. They're all pretty much at 5.5.
5.5. Okay, cool.
Well, hey,
Joe,
Joe's not here to say it, but if he were, he'd have that kind of voice where he's saying, "Hey, if the shift in that line goes the way it has for Utah, that's probably a good sign." So, Ivan, I'm interested to find out. Do you have that information from Joe? I want to see then what his graphs are showing.
Today? Yeah, so he didn't have any graphs. He wasn't able to send those to me. He did send me a page of notes, though. I know the handsome man with the good-looking graphs just hasn't been here today for us. So we're going to pull up Joe's notes here. So he says Utah should win about 7 out of 10 games against ASU at home. So these are based off of the graph that he pulled. This is all from the information that he's been able to ascertain and put together. Whittingham got a 1-2 point. If you guys have something to add as I read through these, please let me know. Whittingham got a 1-2 point bump against ASU in the pack. Interesting to see if that carries into the Big 12. Even not accounting for that, Vegas opening at under 4.5 and moving to under 5.5 feels like a lagging indicator. Utah is favorable in advanced metrics and playing a late night home game, which is why I asked you, Dustin, if you thought the time announcement would change the odds there. But UCLA is Utah's best win, LOL. It's easy to laugh off UCLA beating Penn State, but it's a real data point that should add credibility to the Utes record. I actually agree with him there. I think that's I think it's crazy that UCLA beat Penn State with no coaches. They're all interim coaches. Everyone it's literally like a new house over there, and they beat one of the top teams in the country. I think that's crazy.
I'm gonna pause you there just for a second, because I think that we've talked about this a couple times, and we saw how poorly UCLA played against other teams. But I actually agree with Joe here in that we shouldn't just kind of disregard this win over Penn State, because it actually adds to the credibility of the possibility that Utah broke UCLA, at least momentarily, and at least got them to a point where they weren't feeling comfortable as a team until they got rid of their coaches and they had some renewed, I bet they had some player meetings, just kind of saying, hey, this is our season now. And then they came out and beat Penn State. So I actually think that win over UCLA means a lot more. Apparently it didn't to the AP voters, but to me, it means a lot more.
That's a good point. No, I think that it should have more impact on how not only Utah is viewed, but how UCLA is viewed as well. Just in the overall sense of things. Utes are 31st offense and 7th defense by efficiency. But here's a wild stat: 126th in special teams efficiency. Truly unusual for a Whittingham team. That is actually insane.
A missed point after crushes your efficiency on special teams. It is a thing that the special teams calculator hates.
And we saw that with was it the Wyoming game?
No, there was one in the UCLA game.
One of the UCLA games too. Yeah. Freshman kicker, I think, is what kind of this is a factor playing in there. ASU's efficiencies are much lower than their advanced metric ranking, suggests that their scoring has outperformed their average metrics by quite a bit. Utah should look to limit mistakes and make the Devils play between the markers on both sides of the ball. That's good take by Joe there. Two very good defenses slugging it out. Should not be a lot of touchdowns to go around. I'm predicting Utah 24, ASU 17, under and cover. So we get Joe's prediction there. What are you guys thinking prediction-wise for the score in this one?
I agree with Joe about a lot of that. There's not going to be a ton of points going around. I suspect it's going to be a lot of running the ball. for both teams. Both teams want to run the ball. Both teams are good at running the ball. Both teams are better at running the ball than they are throwing the ball. So they're both going to try and run the ball. I think Utah's going to do a better job of stopping that, despite what the raw stats say, that ASU is the better run defense. Actually, I think Utah's probably the better run defense. And Utah's home field is going to affect ASU on the offensive side. It affects everybody, even when it doesn't work out in Utah's favor. It affects everybody. I mean, Texas Tech lost and still had 7 false starts in that game. So I think there probably are fewer points scored. I would also take the under and Utah to cover. I think it'll be 20-10 is probably more likely.
Matt, what do you think?
I really wonder about what this team's pressure will do to Utah. Arizona State's defense is just full of upperclassmen, many seniors, several different guys rush. They use a lot of I'd say confusing defensive packages. You never really know who's going to be coming at you, and for that reason, they actually they're one of the top 5 teams in the nation in sacks per game. They have 19 total. I haven't seen now they had a bye week, but they were number 4 in team sacks. So that's a lot of pressure that they're going to be putting on Devon Dampier. But along those lines, I think that can get them in trouble because if they do put that pressure on and Dampier is not contained, then he could be able to escape and get a lot of yards in this game. So it'll be interesting to see what Arizona State does, if they scale it back a little bit or if they keep the pressure coming, and what Utah does to respond to that type of rush. But because of that, I also agree that I would go with the under on this game. I think it's going to be low scoring as well. I think Utah's probably going to get beat a few times by Jordan Tyson, especially with Tillman in the backfield. As much as I like Tillman, they're going to be aiming for him. They're going to be going after wherever Tillman is on the field. You can see that West Virginia did that. I think that's why Tillman had so many tackles, even though he had limited snaps since he came in later. So I think this game will be close, really close. It'll make me uncomfortable. I think the final score will be about Utah 24, Arizona State 21.
Solid score predictions from both of you. I think every time that I have doubted Utah's offensive capability this year, in how many points they can score, they usually double my prediction. So I'm going to put more trust in Utah's offense this week than I have in the past. The only week that Utah didn't produce was Texas Tech, and I didn't make a prediction that week. Do you know what? No, I did make a prediction, and I trusted them too much. So now I'm in a weird spot. I think that I really like Dillingham. I know that Utah fans might be a little split on that opinion because it's Arizona State. I think Dillingham is awesome. And
he's better than their last 2 head coaches, both as a coach and as a person.
That's not a hot take. So I think that I really like Sam Leavitt. I like Kanye Udo. But I don't think that they're going to succeed heavily against Utah's defense. I saw what Utah's defense did against Texas Tech, who, in my opinion, is the best offense in the Big 12. I think that, and then they got gassed in the fourth quarter, and the game slipped away. I think that Utah's got the best defense in the Big 12. Maybe not statistically. I just think pressure-wise, I just think that I really do think that they're, if not the best, the top 3 defense in the Big 12. So I'm going to go Utah 35, Arizona State 28 is what I think.
All right, you're taking the over. The rest of us are all taking the under. You're taking the over.
That's well over.
I think that this is going to be
total's 48, I think, right now.
I think this is going to be Dampier's. Everyone, I don't know. I had someone at work telling me that Devon Dampier's coming out party was the UCLA game. I don't think so. I think that this will be his coming out party as the starting quarterback at the University of Utah, and that he's going to show what he can do in pressure situations against good opponents. So that is my opinion. I think good predictions from all of us. Obviously, we all know what we're talking about, and we're very professional. But no, everyone, thanks for listening to Statistically Speaking, a UteNation podcast. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, interact with us, please. We really do appreciate it when you guys do. Leave a comment. Let us know what you guys think is going to happen in this matchup. Or if you're a BYU fan, wait till after the game. And then if, your dream comes true, you can leave a hate comment or something. We appreciate everyone who watches, even those who hate watch. And we hope you have a good rest of your day. UteNation.com today, promo code UTE50 to join that platform. Alex has worked really hard to build that out. And it's a great place to be. It's a great place to go and get information about the Utes. So again, we appreciate all of you. Have a great day. Go Utes.